Hey Sharif,
How's it going?
good. How are you?
Doing well.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you,
Um,
Dan.
Thank you for joining us today. I know that we've already met, so I won't introduce myself, but I do want to introduce you to Jack. He is one of our team lead SDRs. So Jack, can you just give Sharif a little background on yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Sharif.
Nice to meet you, Jack.
Like Dan said, my name is Jack. And yeah, I've been at Power School a little over a year in the team lead role since January. Prior to Power School, I was a college advisor at a public high school in Charlotte.
Okay.
So I used like our CCLR college readiness platform called Naviance, which kind of brought me to Power School. And yeah, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, so Sharif, we will get the mock call portion just kind of out of the way. I know that's the hardest part of the conversation. So I know that you got the prompt, but essentially you're going to be calling into a district, the director of curriculum and instruction. That will be me.
Okay.
Um, your ultimate goal is to land a meeting about our learning management system, which is Schoology. And like I said before, you don't have to be an expert in Schoology. We're more so looking at your ability to ask open-ended questions, dig into pain points, and then use that to leverage the meeting.
Right.
So before we get started, do you have any questions about the prompt at all?
Yeah, I saw in the prompt it had mentioned calling in two power schools. I assumed I was calling, like, company I'd be calling from is Power Schools, and then
So they have our Power School student information system, so they're already a
but
customer of ours.
yeah,
It's
they're just not
essentially
using the LMS.
yeah, they're just not using Schoology.
Okay. Okay, that works.
Cool. So I will actually invite everyone to turn their cameras off.
Okay.
We want to mimic an actual phone call. You won't have verbal cues from your customer. And then whenever you are ready, Sharif, you can just give me a fake little ring ring and I'll answer the phone.
Sweet. Ring ring.
Hi, this is Dan.
Hey, Dan, this is Sharif. I know I'm calling out the blue. I'm actually calling from Power Schools though. Would it be okay if I maybe stole 30 seconds just to explain why I'm calling?
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Sweet. So I know you guys are using this in terms of your SIS system, and I'm actually reaching out in regards to your LMS system, being that, we're seeing a few initiatives statewide, and we've been working with a couple districts who are kind of focusing more on their like one-on-one blended learning environments in terms of the LMS. So just wanted to see, how are things going in terms of that?
Yeah, so right now for our learning management system, we're using Google Classroom. Right after the pandemic, or not right after, during the pandemic, we kind of had to pivot to that, and then we've just kept it. We're a Google school, so we use all of the Google apps. Our teachers have Google email addresses, so it just kind of felt like a natural fit to use
Right.
that. That's what we're currently using.
Okay. Nice. That's really good. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but we actually do integrate very well with Google Classroom. And I mean, obviously, reason I'm calling was to just see if maybe there was a way to, marry those together. Are there any specific areas that you're seeing between just, using Google Classroom and your SIS system that maybe they're not just connecting up?
The teachers aren't really using Google Classroom to input their grades. They're kind of going in and looking at the assignments that are submitted, and then they're putting the grades into our student information system, which obviously is Power School.
Right.
So that's not ideal. I mean, we'd like a learning management system where they can put the grades in, and then it would sync with
Definitely.
our student information system. So that's definitely one of the biggest obstacles. Another obstacle I would say is just organizationally. Teachers aren't easily able to like share resources with one another. Our curriculum's kind of all over the place, and we'd like a more of like a one-stop shop situation where they could access and share resources together all in one spot.
Okay, so I'm hearing you correctly. Just one, maybe saving a lot of time in terms of the manual inputting of grades and entering all that data, and then as well possibly a way to like streamline the sharing of the curriculum and as well just resources could possibly save your district and your teachers a lot of time and energy, would you say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both of those things are not always, abundant when it comes to teaching.
Yeah, I know. It's like you have to use the little resources you're given in the best way possible. So, I mean, I know you're familiar with Power Schools. Typically, what we do with other curriculum, managers like yourself is we would just set up a quick 15-20 minute call and would love to walk you through how we can actually streamline seamlessly the integration with Power Schools to Google Classroom. And that way, they'll marry up and they'll both sync both ways. I do have some time tomorrow at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. What would you say would work better for you?
I mean, would you be able to just send me some information over about the learning management system? I'm not sure if it's like necessarily something that we want to change right now. Teachers are under a lot of pressure and, that would just be one extra thing that they would have to do. But I am interested in learning more. So if you could just send me an email, maybe with like some flyers or some information, and then I can get back to you about, setting something up if we want to move forward.
Yeah, 100%. I understand, especially this time of year, how busy things can be in terms of just the, kind of generalized email with the LMS system. Like, what specifically would you want to see it in that email that you think would be the most beneficial to you?
I think, like I said earlier, kind of the synchronization of our grades, ways in which curriculum can be organized, and then I guess something that might also be beneficial, and I'm not sure if it can do that, but like transparency when it comes to like parents being able to see the curriculum. That's a big initiative in our state. So, I don't know if there's like parent codes or whatever where they can access it, but information on that would be helpful too.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. So, honestly, what I can do and what I think would make sense to be able to, show you in a good way the synchronization of the grades on the actual platform. And then it may be a little tougher to show like that transparency in a kind of email context. Typically what we do is would show that just on a, live demonstration. I'd have the screen shared. So what I'll do is how about I set up tentatively, maybe I know you said you're kind of busy right now. So tentatively I can set something up for say Tuesday afternoon at 1 p.m. And then in the meantime, I will send you an email with the synchronization of the grades, but it will take me some time to actually prepare a couple case studies of the transparency in the platform between, parents. So would that make sense? Tentatively, we set something up Tuesday afternoon, like 1 p.m. I'll send over that email today, and then that way I can actually get some feedback and show you what that would look like in real time for you guys.
Yeah, I think so. Would this be like a long meeting or just kind of an initial conversation?
Yeah, just initial, I would say maybe 20 minutes or so. We'll start the call off, answer any questions you have about the content in the email I sent over, and then, we can spend the second half me sharing my screen and kind of showing you what that transparency looks like in the platform. And again, it can just be a tentative invite. I'll throw it on the calendar Tuesday, 1 p.m. And again, if anything changes, don't hesitate to let me know and we can move that around.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay, perfect. And then last question while I set that up, is there anyone else just in the, decision-making process that maybe would feel left out if they didn't get a chance to see that demo?
I think the tech director, Jack Weiner, would be helpful to have on there.
Okay, tech director Jack Weiner. And then I've got your email format. Is Jack's just the same, Jack dot, and then, at your district?
Yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. Well, sweet. I've got him included on the email. I've got you included. I'll even shoot him over the details that we talked about as well in terms of synchronization. And then, yeah, hopefully we can catch up next Tuesday.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Sharif.
All right, thanks, Ed.
All right, so the hard part's over. How did that feel?
It felt good.
Yeah, is there anything that you would change? Anything that you would have added in? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say maybe the only thing I would add in is dive in a little bit deeper into just kind of like the implications, or like a little bit more into the pain of like how much time is being spent, like how does that affect the teachers, like not being able to have the like resources and things, and then maybe like after diving just a little bit deeper, then push for the meeting. Um, I think that, but usually like the first chance, first sign of pain I hear, I kind of grab that and then I'm like, all right, let's see if we can go for the meeting.
Yeah, for sure. I That was actually one of the things I noted. I thought maybe you could dig in a little bit deeper, especially with education. Like, there's not a lot of money to go around. So, like, one of the
Yeah,
things you're going to hear is like, is it free? Can we just use it for free? So, the more value that you can offer for the meeting, the more likely they are to take it.
right.
But I think overall you did a nice job. Like, you clearly did your research. You knew that we integrated with Google Classroom, which I wasn't expecting you to know, but you obviously looked that up. Um, you repeated the pain points that I would say to me, just to like clarify and like, you know, make sure that everyone was on the same page. Um, you were persistent in asking about the meeting. So even when I said, like, just send me an email, you were like, well, how about I send you an email, but then we can talk about everything and I can show you some things on Tuesday. And then I also liked at the end when you had asked to add other personas to the meeting, because that is important. We want to make sure that
Yeah.
we have the decision makers in that meeting. Jack, what were your thoughts as the observer?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, Dan. It definitely felt like you had an SDR background. Like you felt comfortable on the call. It flowed very nicely. Yeah, definitely some things that stuck out to me. Like I loved how you were affirming most of what the customer said. And kind of like driving into our processes, right? Like here's what we do with other curriculum directors. Um, I thought the opening was relatively strong too. You referenced like our current standing as a PowerSchool SIS customer. Um, my favorite part was, when you got that objection, which is an objection we get a lot.
Yeah.
Not only did you kind of affirm the objection, like, hey, I know it's a busy time of year, but you actually like qualified the objection, which I think is kind of like a next level SDR thing to do. Like you asked, hey, if I did send that email over, what would you want to see? And that got Dan to share more pain
Yeah.
points.
Keep the convo going.
So I'm going to steal that out of your book for sure. I thought that was great.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, that the mock call portion obviously has come to an end, Sharif, but do you have any other questions that maybe Michael and I didn't answer the last time that we can answer for you this time?
Yeah. I think there were more so like sales kind of related questions. I know we talked a little bit about the metrics, if I remember. I believe my next questions were kind of about like quota, like what does that look like in terms of like, is it like qualified meetings set, or is it more attached to revenue? Like, what's that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the SDRs get paid on a few different fronts. So you'll have a monthly quota for qualified meetings, and you'll get a stipend for those meetings. You'll also have a quarterly annual recurring revenue quota. So if you
Okay.
hit that, there's a bonus attached to that as well. And then the third part that you get a portion of is any qualified opportunity that goes all the way through the sales cycle and books. You get a percentage of that booking. There will be a lot of times when the managers will say like, hey, can you just see like what's going on with this opportunity? Because it's not been updated in the last 30
Right.
days, because we do still get a portion of that as well. Those are the three areas.
Okay.
Like, you have a bookings quota, but it's not in your comp plan necessarily.
Okay. But the bookings that's more like on the monthly basis, and then comp
Bookings
plan.
is quarterly as well.
Okay. Quarterly. Perfect. Okay. And then what does that look like in terms of just bookings, like that's expected?
It depends each quarter.
Okay.
Basically, they take like what our entire organization needs to book, and then they divide it by the amount of SDRs. We want you to hit that number.
Yeah.
However, we also know that you're not fully in control of that number because you've passed the thing along. So it's not like the biggest emphasis that we have. The number that we really want you to hit is the ARR number and then your monthly STO number. Those are the top priority.
Okay, nice. And then I know you kind of touched on it towards the end of like the mock call of like the most common objection is usually pricing or just like there not being, the revenue there or the money there. How do you guys kind of go about that objection? And like, are there any other like super common objections that your sales teams right now is like running into?
Yeah, I think one of the big ones we get is the just send me an email one, which I think you handled beautifully. So you know how to do that. As far as pricing goes, we'll often say like we don't want pricing to be the obstacle that doesn't get you the solution that you need. So we can be creative with pricing. We can look into grants, that type of thing. But again, you can use that to leverage the meeting. So your account executive would be able to speak to how we can, work it out so that you're able to get the solution that's going to benefit your students ultimately. Jack, you're on the phones right now. Are there any other major ones that you're hearing besides those two?
Yeah, pricing is definitely the biggest one right now. Hey, just send me an email. That's another one. Oftentimes, like, it's a general kind of timing objection.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
This might make sense to meet later in the fall about, all right? And sometimes even that's budget related. Like there are K-12 budget cycles where things are finalized and things are accounted for. And so yeah, it's about like trying to get the info as soon as possible, talking about implementation timelines that make sense. So yeah,
that literally goes into my next question of like how big of a factor does like timing play in terms of like summer when there's maybe less people in at the school district versus like do you maybe see like increases in meeting set or decreases maybe when the school year starts versus like when there's breaks? Like how does that kind of timeline work?
So that's a great question. Your quota is set up on like historically how we've done.
Nice. Okay.
So July is coming up. The lowest quota of the year is July, and it's because, like you said, there's not a lot of people in the office. A lot of people are going on vacation at that time. So we look at how the business does, and then we make your quota work appropriately. And then as far as like product-wise, we have a solution that covers every aspect of K through 12. So if one product isn't necessarily hot in February, there's going to be another one that we can call on that's going to work during the time. So the products kind of vary on when we call on them.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Also, like in terms of lead generation, do you guys already have like a pretty good database of leads, or like what are you guys using Sales Navigator or Zoom Info, or what's that look like?
So we use SalesLoft and Salesforce. Unfortunately, in the education space, there's a lot of movement.
Yeah.
So, teachers move around. They go from district to district. District leaders are trying to, climb to be the superintendent, whatever it may be. So what our SDRs do is they check with the district websites to make sure that the personas that are in Salesforce are correct.
Okay.
And then we load them in that way. It's a much more strategic approach. So we've had SDRs that have former SDR experience where they're using like speed dialers and things like that. We don't have any system like that in place. It's more so like we want to make sure we're contacting the right people and we're getting the message across the right person's desk.
Have you seen like mobile numbers ever? Is that like something that you guys call on too, or is it more so like when your SDR is making the calls, like they're going to the district office or they're going to the receptionist and then kind of trying to go through the phone tree and get to the right person?
We have sales reps that have relationships with some of the personas and they have their mobile numbers. We don't necessarily call on their mobile numbers. Okay. Education is like a weirdly formal environment. So we try to stay as formal on our side as well. So we talk to a lot of gatekeepers. We have a lot of direct lines too. So you'll be able to call directly into their office, but some of the job is, and Jack's very good at this, like building relationships with the gatekeepers so that they'll help you
Yeah.
out, you to the right person that you need.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. Any other questions, Sharif, while we're here?
No other questions. I mean, I enjoyed the time and the mock call and the interview today. So, what would the next steps kind of look like in the rest of the process?
That's a good question. So this would be the final step in the process. And then you would hear from Charity, who you spoke to initially. She's a recruiter. I would say we like to turn these things around pretty quickly. I would say most likely you would hear by the end of the week, if not early next week.
Okay.
It's a little weird because it's a Wednesday. And then also next week is the 4th of July.
Yeah.
I'll push Charity to definitely get some messages out before then. So yeah, you will hear either way from Charity.
Okay. Sweet.
Awesome. Well, it was nice to see you again, Sharif. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. And again, you have my email, so if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out.
Sweet. Thanks, Dan. Jack, it was nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Great job.
Thanks. See you guys. 2 W interviews today. But either way, that's not going to be a position I'm taking. That one's like $50K base, but it's hourly. And it just doesn't seem like it's going to be a good job to stack. But it was good practice. Y'all saw how to do the mock pitch, mock call. And yeah, so W content. I'll see y'all on the next one.